Hi, I'm Katie, and today I'm going to tell you about our first shoot post COVID-19. Today I'm not actually wearing what Katie did. For the last few months I've been wearing designs by what Katie did, and this time around I've had a little bit of break. This dress is licensed Alfred Shaheen, which is made by Unique Vintage, and they have, over the last couple of years, they have bought the licensing for quite a few brands and names. And you're probably aware Alfred Shaheen is a very famous designer, and now he basically Unique Vintage have got the rights to his patterns and some of the prints, so you can get the look of his dress at an affordable price, because his vintage pieces are, they go for crazy money now. And of course, if you're a big fan of vintage, you'll know that the vintage dresses now, they're not only expensive, but they're not in that great condition either. So Unique Vintage, they're too far to walk from our boutique on Magnolia. They're a couple of miles, and I have done the walk, and it's fine. But if you want a lazy day, it's there's a lot of shops near where we are on Magnolia, and then you jump in the car and you go down to Unique Vintage, and there's nothing much more down where they are. Most of it's up our end, but they are very close together, so you can drive there in a few minutes, and they have a great range of vintage inspired clothing, both their own brands and other names. So back to our shoot. I wanted to tell you about this shoot because one of the things that makes us very, very lucky is the fact that where I am now, it's actually in the top of our warehouse building, and this was originally dead space, because you can't see it from where I'm sitting, but it's got a sloped roof, so it makes it very difficult to use for anything productive, really. But it was dead space for a few years, and now we've turned it into our photography studio, and this is where we do 90% of our photography. And if you followed us for a while, you'll know that my husband does all our photography, so everything is done in-house. And so this enables us to shoot a lot more often than other brands, and it also allowed us to shoot quickly and safely after or during COVID-19 in the UK. It's still around. We are still being very, very careful. Everyone's gradually going back to work, but we are still social distancing and everything, which made our choice of models quite tricky, because we had to have someone who could drive, because we are out in the country and we didn't want to have someone travelling on public transport. So we need someone who could drive, someone who we'd worked with several times before, because by that we know what size they are, and they know our products, and they know how to put everything on, because it wasn't a case of me being able to hook everyone in at close contact. So we needed to be able to dress at a distance, and we also needed someone who felt comfortable enough for us to tell us to get back, or vice versa, if things got too close. Because if you're working with a new model who doesn't know us and we don't know them, they might feel a bit intimidated and not feel comfortable to say, hey, back off. Where we wanted to be working with someone who was who we could be friendly and was comfortable with working with us. So in the end, we shot Velvet Jones yesterday, which was Sunday, and we got some amazing pictures, and I can't wait to show you. We did shoot a couple new things, so although things are moving slowly, we managed to sneak a couple new things in. And next Saturday we're shooting with L Model, who we put in our pumpkin spice stockings last year, and also a lot of our fully fashioned stockings we shot with L Model last year. So we're looking forward to shooting with her on Saturday. And after that, we've got a wild card. We've got someone we haven't shot with before, but hopefully by then we will have felt comfortable shooting, and we'll know the setup, and we've got back into the swing of it, because really we've been in our own little bubble. And if you're in the UK, you'll know about bubbles. If you're outside the UK government has said we have to stick to our own bubbles. So we've been very much in our own little bubble at what Katie did. And it is strange being out of touch with people for like 3 months. And Velvet was saying, when on the drive here yesterday, it was really nice for her to be, because she performs, it was really nice for her to be out on the road, because normally she's driving around the country to venues performing all the time. And this time was the first time she'd ever been able to get out on the open road and have our music playing, and things kind of returning to normal. Of course, it was Sunday and there was no traffic, and there's no traffic because of COVID as well, so she had a great drive. But it all feels, a little bit spooky when you're doing something for the first time after being, tucked away for so long. So I touched on the fact that we can shoot more than other brands because we've got our own studio here. And before we were doing all our own photography, photography was a huge expense to us, and it seems a little bit crazy because if you have a website, it's supposed to be, cheaper than a shop. But when you add up all the costs, it doesn't really work out that much cheaper at all. Because if you've got a store, you have all the fittings and you've got the cost of the people. But when you've got the website, you've got the additional cost of doing all the photography. And really, without great photography, you can't sell anything online. And also, we've got the additional problem, or the additional challenge of if you're a small brand, you can get friends, family, and colleagues to wear your dress for social media or to wear it for the website and model for you. Whereas for lingerie, things are a little bit different. You can't say, "Oh, put on this bra and we'll put you on our website." It's a bit more intimate than that. So for us, doing our own photography is really, really important, and it has allowed us to do just so much more content, which again is very important these days as well. When you look at other vintage brands, they might only do 2 or 3 shoots a year, because you are talking like at least £1,000 to do a shoot, and that isn't. It may not sound a lot of money to you, but you probably don't realise that the vintage brands in the UK in particular are really, really tiny, and it is a lot of money. And if you're only making a couple dozen of a style, then it's taking a big chunk out of your so-called profit, because there might not be any profit to actually shoot it. So it's very, very tricky. At What Katie Did, we try and do 1 shoot a month, and this allows us to shoot product, shoot some interesting shots, so not just product, straight up and down. We can do some more interesting poses and spend some time. When you look at places like ASOS, and also I can remember talking to Lady Eccentric, she modelled for Lindy Bop, and she said, well, Lindy Bop, they just bam, 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 bam out the images, and she said to me, "Oh, I'm sure I had my eyes closed," and I asked them if I could do another shot, and they said, "No, that's fine, on to the next one." But when you talk about ASOS and the fast fashion brands, they do like 70 or 80 looks in a day, so it's crazy, crazy fast. Whereas obviously at What Katie Did, we don't have 70 looks, and also it takes a longer time to put on lingerie, put on nylons and everything, but it does allow us to chill out and take our time and have fun when we're doing it as well. And also, because we're shooting in our own studio, we don't have to worry about the cost of the studio. We don't have to worry about the cost of the photographer, because that's my husband. We don't have to worry about the cost of the dresser or the stylist, because that's me. All we have to worry about is the cost of the model. And we have worked with models before for the first time, and they have been nervous, and I've said to them, listen, if we don't get any images out of you, it's not a problem at all, because all we're paying for really is your time. If everything goes wrong, it's not, it's no high pressure. It doesn't really matter. It's not like we spent thousands of pounds on a photographer or a studio and everything like that. We don't have that pressure at all. Of course, there are ways of making photography cheaper, and one of the things you can do is mates rates, which before Richard was doing our photography, this is what we often resorted to. And the issue you have with that is you might not have full control over what models are chosen, because the photographer you're working with, they might want to work with a certain person that you might not necessarily want to work with, and a certain body type. One of our old photographers used to do stock photography, so he'd do our photographs, and then he'd do a few photographs with stock photography as well. And so he wanted a very commercial look, and which didn't necessarily suit what we were after, but because of financial constraints, we didn't have any choice. at that time. And I know that's the same with other vintage brands as well. When you outsource photography, you really don't know, you don't have that much control over who's going to end up wearing the products and whether it's going to be put on back to front or upside down, which we've had before. So doing the photography in-house, I really can't see us as a brand doing our photography any other way now, because it really is one of the really strong points we have, that we do have total control. So that's about it for our first post-COVID shoot, and we're really happy to be creating content again. And I forgot to show you this earlier, we do finally have our 2020 cotton shopper. So this arrived last week and we ordered it up. Our cotton shopper is supposed to be out at the beginning of the year, and we're supposed to have a new one every year, and it always gets delayed, and this was no exception. The artwork took a lot longer than we expected, and then we had issues with the printer, and then of course we had COVID, and the bag company just stopped, and we lost contact with them. And then finally they did arrive last week, and so we finally have our bags. Of course we don't have a shop, because what we generally do with our bags is we have them in stores. So if you make a big purchase, then we put them in one of our cotton shoppers. And of course now we don't have shops open at the moment, so we've got a lot of bags and no shops. So I think I'm going to put them online. We did shoot them with velvet, and so I will put them online. So hopefully they will be online by the end of the week, so keep an eye out if you would like one of our cotton shoppers. If you do have any questions about our products or our models or how we're coping during COVID-19, please get in touch. And in the meantime, take care, and I'll catch up with you soon.